Taming the Demon by Skira. Chapter 31. To the Beasts Feeding on Victory. Takami had a look on his face that spoke of a commander collecting his dead after losing a battle as he passed his captaincy to Shin. Hiruma distracted his players to allow his rival quarterback a moment to mourn his losses. Shin had come over to congratulate Sena, and there was a moment where Sena himself received it. But then Sena was gone, and Demon was responding to Shin's challenge in kind. It was time to prepare for the finals against either Seibu or Hakushu. Of course, some of them needed new uniforms first. Sena's jersey was shredded from his repeated confrontations with Shin. The left shoulder was pretty much gone, and there were tears up and down the sides. Not to mention his gloves. Sena actually found Hiruma after the game to apologize for the damage. He held the few scraps of fabric he could find from the field and looked near ready to cry over them. Hiruma closed his larger hand over Sena's and told him that all good soldiers suffer battle scars. He then kissed him until the brunette could barely breathe. The team's popularity had picked up significantly at the school. All day, people kept stopping to congratulate them, and on more than one occasion asked for an autograph. It was coming back from such an encounter that Hiruma found the club room packed with enough flowers to stock 3 stores. Anazaki had the ridiculous notion that the blonde himself purchased them. As it turned out, the flowers had been a gift. On the surface, it appeared that one Maruko Reiji was an exceptionally generous individual who wanted to congratulate Damon on making it to the tournament finals. But underneath that, there was this frightening feeling. Hiruma looked around at the room full of flowers and felt mildly violated, like the eyelashes was saying, "We're watching you, and we have the power here." Just like Musashi said, the guy acted like a yakuza. The team was sufficiently distracted when, along with the flowers, a letter for Sena specifically was delivered too. A letter from Himuro Maruko, the beautiful third-year manager of Hakushu, asking to meet. The blonde quarterback didn't bother listening to the rambling about love letters. There's no way it was such a thing, and even if it was, Sena belonged to Hiruma. Instead, he readied his audio equipment because Hiruma was going to end up leaking information whether she meant to or not. The kid didn't question or even seem surprised when the blonde attached its tiny microphone to his shirt collar on his way out. The kid stuck out like a sore thumb in the fancy schmancy atmosphere of the indoor shopping mall where Himuro asked to meet. Hiruma made himself comfortable on the balcony of one of the second-floor shops so that he could watch everything in addition to listening. It had the added bonus of a fair distance of the group of morons who came to spy on Sena's love confession. Seriously, Anazaki was a given, but what the heck are the rest of them doing down there? The first surprise was when Rikyu appeared, apparently also invited by Himuro. Rikyu seemed just as surprised to find Sena there, but Hiruma figured the Hakushu manager would have contacted Seibu as well as Damon. When the woman herself appeared, all business, Hiruma's suspicions were confirmed. She wanted both Seibu and Damon to forfeit. Himuro had pulled the aces of both teams and was trying to convince them to give up their respective matches by halftime to spare their respective players as much harm as possible. She was kind enough to bring a DVD featuring Gao's skills. Evidently, she also brought Gao himself by accident. Rikyu rescued the DVD, Sena rescued Himuro, and Gao destroyed the table and 2 chairs, all in a single palm strike. Maruko could complain all he liked about Gao going overboard, but Hiruma recognized a calculated intimidation tactic when he saw one. It was straight up impossible for Maruko to honestly believe that Gao wouldn't trash the place. Given half a chance, and an up-close brush with that kind of power was much more frightening than watching it on video. If anything, the Hakushu quarterback was trying to drive Himuro's point home. Give up or get hurt. After all, Hakushu advances to the Nationals that much easier if its opponents in the next 2 rounds both forfeit. Once the confrontation ended, Marco snagged the DVD back and Riku took off to make his report back to his team. Sena, for his part, muttered into his microphone that he'd head out with the other members of Damon, who had, at this point, come out of hiding. Hiruma would call the kid later. Right now, he was going to find Shien and use him as a guinea pig for a few anti-Gao strategies. As expected, Shien knew exactly why the blonde had deigned to share the information with him. What was completely unexpected was the very Damon-like strategy the cowboy intended to implement. For someone who pretended to be so washed out, he certainly was pulling out all the stops with this one. If you can't stop Gao, then don't. As long as Shien threw the ball before Gao reached him, he would be safe. If his throw was even 0.1 seconds too slow, Gao would waste him. It was an incredibly risky gamble that put Shien's life at risk. Maybe literally. Hiruma was a little honored to have inspired this kill or be killed strategy. Hiruma didn't wish Shien luck, because the blonde simply doesn't do things like that. But the look the cowboy gave him as he left implied that Shien just assumed luck was wished. As he walked home, Hiruma thought about which team he actually wanted to win the upcoming match. The kids were all rooting for Seibu to avenge their loss from the fall Tokyo tournament. But if the quarterback was 100% honest with himself, and he always was, he didn't think they could beat Seibu as they were. Sena might be able to beat Riku, and Mata might be able to beat Tetsuma, and they'd have Musashi from the beginning this time. But Shien and Hiruma knew each other's thought processes too well. They were too evenly matched for Hiruma to comfortably calculate numbers and plan tactics, and not in the same way that they were matched with Ojo or Shinryuji. Defensive Ojo was fundamentally different than the offensive Damon, and Shinryuji's core players were the Kongo brothers, whom Hiruma could manipulate and work around. Damon and Seibu were practically parallels of each other in team makeup and playstyle. On the other hand, Hakushu was an enigma. Yes, they'd seen and heard a lot about Go's strength and ferocity, but one man does not make a team. Marugo was a crafty little SOB, but Hiruma didn't yet know how that translated onto the field. And then there were all the other players. Research into the SIC district tournament only showed Gao dominating everything in his path, and digging into the team's previous years equaled to nothing because the starting lineups consisted mostly of first-year students. Hiruma needed a moment to process that thought whenever it appeared. Gao and Sena were the same age. Upon reaching his apartment, Hiruma decided that with the information at his disposal, he would root for Seibu as the devil he knew. If he woke up the following morning in a cold sweat from images in his mind of Gao Rikiya surrounded by broken bodies in red jerseys, a bloodied helmet with a cracked ice shield in his fist, well, nobody had to know.